gentlemen, once again to the Talk All Things podcast. We are speaking all things football, all things Mamelodi Sundowns, all things Tebogo Mokoena, all things Kuliso Mudau. Hey, leadership, how are you?
I'm fine about your leadership.
No, man, good, man. There's a there's a matter that I want us to discuss. I'm sure you've been asking yourself. In fact, we were discussing this off camera now. Kulisho Mudau and Tebogo Mokoena. Currently, they have not been featuring for Mamelodi Sundowns. The first encounter of the league, they didn't feature. They were not even part of the traveling squad. And the two games against Babane, they didn't feature at all. And then I think there's a reason why they are not featuring. If you can check, there was an interview, man. There was an interview where Manqoba Mngqithi, it was M108, and Manqoba Mngqithi was speaking. He was speaking Stellenbosch game, and there's a clip that was going in the socials where it seems as if Tebogo Mokoena was undermining the man. At first hand, he was giggling when Manqoba was referring to the style of play that he wants to instill to Sundowns, and he was saying, if you can remember my Golden Arrows team, and it seems as if Mokoena was not taking the man serious. So stories have been going around in the tablets to say that's why they are dropped. And personally, as a Sundowns supporter, I'm sure even you yourself, you have seen the commitment of Mokoena. A lot of people question the commitment of Tebogo Mokoena. A lot of people question the commitment of Kulisho Mudau. And at the current rate, they are not featuring for Sundowns. What is your perspective on that ordeal?
As we have emphasized, those two players that they are trying to decampaign Manqoba. Maybe I don't know the reason behind that, but according to me, they must just bear in their mind that they are not playing for the individual, or they are not playing for Hulani Mokoena. They must know that playing for Sundowns, you are playing for a bigger team, and Sundowns doesn't depend on the individual coach or players. Sundowns is a big team that depends on a collective. So those two players, I am not sure that they knew in their mind that what they are doing is totally wrong, because they are there for Sundowns. They are not there for Rulani. They are playing for the team, and they must just leave that what do you call it? That childish behavior by trying to decampaign Manqoba for no reason, because Manqoba is a good coach. It's one of the respected coach. He coached Golden Arrows before, and then Golden Arrows sorry was playing a very exciting football, attacking football, a very effective football going forward. So that's what Manqoba is trying to install in Sundowns team. So I can see now Sundowns, they are playing a very exciting football and a very effective football going forward. So those players, they must come to the picture and play for the Sundowns, or they must come and express themselves or explain to the management what they are doing, or what they did to the coach. It was wrong. It was totally wrong.
Because Pagania to just go kene mo lekganong. There's no smoke without fire, in life, and there's no way that those boys can just be dropped just like that, because we thought they were being dropped because they were from the national team. But the likes of Mushishi, Mudiba, they played against Supersport coming on in the second half. Grand Kekana played, who is this new boy of Sundowns, Reina's played. So I just want us to discuss that in depth because there's no smoke without fire. And we all saw last season when the Sundowns was playing against Orlando Pirates, where Mokoena took a note and gave Kolisho Mudau, and in that note was like, please do it for me. So of course they had some form of a extraordinary relationship, and for Manqoba to put them out after we as football fanatics and Sundowns supporters, we saw that no, there's a lack of commitment on those boys. So how can you advise them to again come back and probably, because football is a short career, we've seen top stars because probably they thought they were stars, and you are right, probably they wanted they were misled, they're still young stars, probably they were fooled, or probably trying to decampaign and undermine the men. But how can you advise them, because we've seen in football you become a star today, and especially in a club like Sundowns. Pela Sundowns, if they want, they are still contracted. If these big clubs, both Pirates, both Chiefs, both Sundowns, these clubs can deal with you. And not only these big clubs, all the PSL teams. If you are contracted, for example, when you're contracted to Sundowns, you are Kolisha Mudau contracted to Sundowns. As much as we love your supporters and we know your qualities, but these teams, they can decide not to play you for the whole season, frustrate you. Next season you come back, frustrate you. The time they release you on a last contract, you are match fit, you are in terms of your value, you've went down, you want another team, and you go to a lower team because the big clubs will say no, you stayed 4 years without playing. So how do you advise them, these boys?
As a legend supporter of Orlando Pirates, my advice to those two players is they must sit down with Manqoba. If there is something maybe that we don't know, maybe there is something, as we have said, or as we have emphasized, or there can't be a smoke without fire.
Yeah.
Maybe there is some smoke that we don't know.
Their commitment was questionable.
So because their commitment was questionable, as we are saying, their absence in the team is still questionable.
Yeah.
So they must just sit down with the coach and tell the coach whether they still want to play for Mamelodi Sundowns or not. Because Sundowns doesn't depend on those two players. The Sundowns have quality players, they've got depth in players. So if they think they are the best amongst other players, they are telling themselves a liar. They are just building the castle in the earth. Because really they will find themselves on the street. Because Sundowns, as a team, they won't allow that kind of behavior because it's going to kill the moral of other players. So as a senior players, because I think Mokoena and Mudau, they are senior players, they have been there for a long time. So they must lead by an example. So their behavior doesn't allow in football. That kind of behavior, we as a supporters, we don't allow that kind of behavior in the ball because it's killing our football.
Yeah.
So they must come out from the corner and sit down with Manqoba.
And the technical team, it means they undermine
Exactly,
the rest of
the technical team.
Not only
They
Manqoba.
Yes, I'm saying Manqoba because he's the leader of the technical team. So they must sit down with the whole technical team and try to iron out issues if there is issues. But if there is someone who is influencing them, so he's trying to destroy their future, because really that kind of behavior, we don't allow it in our football. Really, it's killing our football. We want players who are committed for the team, not for the individual. Player must not be the member of the members.
Yeah.
So they must be the member of the team because they are there
This
for the
bench.
team. Because when playing Sundowns, you are playing for the brand of Sundowns. You are not playing for Manqoba brand. I mean, Rulani Mokoena brand. So if they want Rulani or if they want to go, they must follow Rulani.
Yeah.
They
But
must
of
try
course,
to come out
They are contracted and Sundowns won't allow that, obvious.
No, we cannot force the players if they don't want to play. Or if they have issues with some coach, they must just leave. Simple
quick
as
one.
ABC.
So quick one, based on how Sundowns have been performing now, do you perhaps do they play in the next game against the Marumo Galang's Kaizer Chiefs, or because Sundowns has won 3 games, or do you keep the players which have been performing like Tapelo Moren has been doing well in the right back, Kutia? What's your take on the next games?
I think Manqoba should keep the momentum going. He mustn't just bench some other players who are there to die for the team. So those players who don't want to play, they must just keep it on the bench, or they just must sideline them, put them aside, and put players who are willing to die for the team, because we cannot really depend on 2 players. So as I have already said, alluded, Sundowns is a big team. We've got plenty of players who are there, who are eager to die on the field of play. So players who are not eager to die for the team, they must just leave them out and then put the players who are determined to play for the Sundowns. So that's what I can say to those 2 players. Manqoba Mngeti must continue with that combination, or must continue with that lineup that he win against SuperSport, and also against Mbambane Swallows. He must continue. They must not disrupt his combination. He must just continue with those players who are determined to die for the team, not players who are not determined, or players who are, we've got issues. There's no time for issues. We are not entertaining issues. We entertain players who are willing to play football. Players who are not willing to play football, they must just leave Sundowns. Nothing else.
Correct. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. You got it from Thabo, a legend of Orlando Pirates, a faithful supporter. He gave your views on the issue of Kulisho Mudau and Tebogo Mokoena. And I hope that the boys come back, humble themselves. They are also human beings. Probably they've made a mistake by being too emotional. But to all football players out there, you play for the badge, this thing. You play for the badge, you don't play for coaches. Because coaches come and go. And even at some point, even the ownership of the team, it changes. They sell the Motsepe family, the Tinkler, but Mamelodi Sundowns badge remains forever. So to future players and the current players, don't again, these mistakes, you don't want to see it, because you are right, it's amateurish. We are professional football players. So in future, another coach comes, whether be at Pirates, whether be at Kaizer Chiefs, you remain committed to the cause, because at the end of the day, there's no coach that pays your bills. It's the club that pay your bills. No. Thank you. Catch us on the next edition of the Talk All Things podcast. Just leave your comments and tell us your views about the Tebogo Mokoena and Mudau situation. Thank you.
Thank you.